Hey everyone, Tankenstein here. In this video, I'll be reviewing the AV-8S Matador, though I'll likely be calling it the 8S or the Matador throughout this video. This is a currently 9.7 BR Rank 6 Premium Strike aircraft in the Japanese Air Force's tech tree, though flies under the Thai flag. The pack that it comes in currently costs $59.99 USD when not on sale, and comes with 15 days of premium time and 2,000 Golden Eagles. Now with that said, in this video I'll be going over everything that you need to know about this Harrier variant, including its stats, how it plays. I'll go over its strengths and weaknesses. I'll give it some scores in several key areas, and then I'll give my final recommendation on if I feel this vehicle is worth purchasing or not. With that said, if you like this kind of video, please consider subscribing, but without further ado, let's get into the review. Now to start, I'll place the stat card here on the side of the screen. Important things to know are its top speed, its turning time, and its armament. Now for how it plays. This is basically just an AV-8A, except of course flying under the Thai flag in the Japanese Air Force's tech tree, and with somewhat better AIM-9P missiles over the AA's AIM-9Gs. With that said, the Matador has fantastic low-speed acceleration, good missiles, powerful cannons, and mediocre maneuverability. As such, being that the BR that it sits in is still a semi-gunfighter BR, you should avoid getting into dogfights. The Matador simply cannot turn with most fighters, be it a MiG-21, an F-5C, or even a Sabre in a down tier. Rather, you should use the Matador in a few different ways. First, if using it in an air-to-air role, I would advise to let your more agile allies get into dogfights with other fighters, with you either using your AIM-9Ps to kill anyone on their tails, or gunning down enemy aircraft. Doing this tends to bring me the most success in terms of air-to-air. Another thing that I like to do is to use my excellent acceleration to dart to the head of the pack, go to an allied base, and wait for an enemy to try to bomb it. At this BR, most players trying to bomb a base don't have countermeasures and typically are not incredibly fast, so you should be able to swing in behind them to fire off an AIM-9P to get a quick kill or two. In short, going after air targets means that you have to be the one to choose your targets, and to hope that they're distracted. If someone chooses you as their target, you'll likely not be maneuverable enough to shake them off, but at least you'll have some countermeasures to be able to defend against missiles if you have them in your loadout. The other thing that I like to do is to equip up to 5 incendiary bombs, of which will typically be able to destroy 1 2/3 bases, which will yield a fair amount of score. Due to the tremendous low speed acceleration of this aircraft, you can typically make it to a base before most other non-Harrier allies. Personally though, I like to equip 2 incendiary bombs to destroy the majority of a single base, and also have my 2 AIM-9Ps and countermeasures pod. That way you can get points for going after ground and air, which typically yields very good matches. Not only that, but the 30mm cannons are devastating to ground targets like howitzers, which means that you can get plenty of points by playing a hybrid style of gameplay. This versatility is key to the gameplay of the Matador, though again you need to be aware of the severe top speed and maneuverability shortcomings of this vehicle, as they will get you killed if you're not careful. If you protect yourself and go after distracted enemies, however, the AV-8S will do very well very often. Now for close air support, the story is somewhat similar. You can use your tremendous acceleration to get into and out of combat very quickly, while using your ballistics computers for your bombs and rockets to ensure that you're accurate and get a few kills. To this point, the Matador can carry between 250-pound and 1,000-pound bombs, and can also carry Zuni and Mighty Mouse rocket pods, which are all very usable depending on the situation at hand. While the ordnance slots are limited, as you only have 5 at max, with one of them being the only way that you can have countermeasures, and the other 2 being usable for missiles, it can be just a little bit difficult to decide how to allocate your ordnance. This total ordnance loadout issue aside, the Matador is, in my opinion, a very efficient and very usable aircraft for close air support. It has everything that you need for a few kills per outing, while also having the ability to carry countermeasures to give you better survivability. Heck, you can even use up to 2 of your hardpoints for missiles, which will allow you to perform a hybrid CAS and air cover role. To me, this is all that one can reasonably ask for at this BR, and the AV-8S Matador does all of them very well. Now with that said, let's get into its strengths and weaknesses, and first for its strengths. It has excellent acceleration at low speeds. Second, the Matador has very good roll rate. Third, you can carry up to 240 countermeasures if you equip the countermeasure pod. Fourth, you have ballistics computers for both bombs and rockets. For its fifth strength, this vehicle has a good loadout, including the ability to carry Mighty Mouse rockets, Zunis, incendiary bombs, and HE bombs of between 250 and 1,000 pounds, with parachute versions included for the 250 and 500 pounders. For its sixth strength, you can carry 2 AIM-9Ps, which are fairly capable at this BR. For its seventh strength, this vehicle features 2 powerful 30mm Aiden cannons. Eighth, The AV-8S is VTOL capable, meaning that it has the ability to take off and land vertically, as well as the ability to hover. Beyond this, it features a radar warning receiver. For its 10th strength, it can land at helipads via VTOL to refuel, repair, and rearm. And finally, this vehicle features premium RP and SL bonuses. And now for its weaknesses. The engine overheats very quickly above 92 or even 93% throttle depending on the map that you're on. Second, unfortunately, by adding countermeasures, it takes away a hardpoint that could be used for a bomb. Third, this vehicle lacks radar. For its fourth weakness, the maneuverability is poor, though it can be slightly augmented by changing the nozzle angles of the engine. For its fifth weakness, acceleration becomes poor beyond 800 or so kilometers per hour. For its sixth weakness, this vehicle has subsonic top speed. And finally, though they are powerful, the 30mm cannons have mediocre muzzle velocity, which can make aiming against aircraft much more difficult than you might be used to at this BR. Now with all that said, let's get into how I score this vehicle. And first, for dogfighting in the ARB, I give it a solid 6.5 out of 10. I recently rewatched a very old review that I made on the AV-8A, where I gave it a 7.5 out of 10 in this category. I also gave it a 7.5 out of 10 for CAS2, but I'll get to that in a moment. Back then, I was much more wild with my scores and didn't have the scale that you see on the left of the screen now. With that said, though the AV-8S is practically identical to the 8A outside of the fact that the S gets slightly better AIM-9P missiles, I have to give it a 6.5 out of 10, which is still a very good or even great score. This vehicle is definitely capable in air battles with great low speed acceleration, pretty damn good missiles, up to 240 countermeasures, and powerful cannons. It does, however, have poor high speed acceleration, is subsonic, has a somewhat limited payload for base strike, the 30mm cannons have mediocre muzzle velocity, and worst of all, it is very much unmaneuverable. Because of these things, while it is, in my experience, an extremely consistent vehicle in air battles, typically getting a kill or two per match at the very least, if not, of course, more than that, as well as some base damage or NPC kills, it isn't going to compete with a ton of vehicles in a direct fight. Basically, while it can't outturn, outrun, or even outgun a lot of similar BR planes, it still has very good missiles for this BR and a lot of countermeasures, which allow it to be pretty great, especially when you aren't taking on an entire enemy team by yourself, because you really just can't do that in this vehicle. Now for close air support, I give it a 6.5 out of 10. A large part of this score comes from the ballistics computers, which aren't guaranteed for a lot of vehicles at this BR, though the excellent versatility of this aircraft also helps. It has ordnance options that almost everyone will like, and allows you to be very precise when deploying them. Add in the fairly powerful 30mm cannons for destroying tank tracks or killing lightly armored vehicles, and you end up with a fairly great CAS aircraft. The only real downsides here are that it doesn't have the ability to carry more ordnance, and that you oftentimes have to choose between safety in the way of countermeasures and your missiles, and also carrying more anti-ground ordnance. You really can't have it all with this vehicle, unfortunately, but I guess that's also why it's 9.7 BR and not a higher BR. Now overall, I give it a 6.5 out of 10. As you may have guessed, my overall grade is 6.5 out of 10 because, of course, both ARB and CAS, my grades are 6.5 out of 10. The AV-8S is great, despite having a few notable flaws. It's even better than the AV-8A, albeit just slightly due to its improved missiles, and I love that aircraft. While it isn't the fastest, nor can it carry the most missiles or the most anti-ground ordnance, the AV-8S is able to perform in most roles very well, so long as you play to its strengths and keep away from its weaknesses. Now with all that said, do I recommend the purchase of the AV-8S? Yes, I do. This is a fairly well-balanced aircraft with plenty of capabilities that a ton of people will enjoy. Assuming it stays at its current BR, it should be placed in matches where it can shine in both air and ground battles. In air battles, I am oftentimes in a down tier, and even when I'm not, I know that I have good enough missiles and plenty of countermeasures to be able to engage with the more advanced enemy aircraft, so long as I somewhat stay behind the front lines and don't take them all on by myself. Not a lot of aircraft can do that, and I think that's a testament to the versatility of the AV-8S Matador, as well as its somewhat advanced features for its BR, including its radar warning receiver. I would even rank the AV-8S slightly above the T2 early in terms of how good it is for this rank of Japanese air, at least when it comes to premiums, if you ever find yourself with the opportunity to purchase the T2 early. The T2 is arguably better versus aircraft, as it's much faster and has a great 20mm rotary cannon, which in my opinion beats the 230mm Aidens, wins, but that's a matter of opinion, as the AV-8S features countermeasures, whereas the T2 lacks them entirely. In much the same way, the Matador has ballistic computers for ground strike, whereas the T2 early lacks them entirely, though has a very similar and somewhat better CAS loadout. Basically, I'm saying that the AV-8S is fairly easy to use, has a very favorable match placement, and is an overall versatile vehicle. Because of all those things, I both fully recommend it for purchase and give it my Tankenstein seal of approval. Now with that said, thank you all so much for watching. If you don't mind, please consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel, as they both help me tremendously. Additionally, let me know what you guys think about the Matador and of this review in the comments below. Either way, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all on the other side. Take care, everyone.